Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to do a webinar presentation on phase 3, the maintenance phase. So that's days 43 through 64. It's a 3-week period following the low-calorie phase in which we are going to reestablish a new weight set point and start to increase our calories back to a more sustainable lifestyle moving forward. So phase 3 is really important, and it's really crucial that we utilize these 3 weeks to accomplish the goals that are included in phase 3 maintenance. So you've just done this great diet and you've lost a lot of weight, and now we want to learn how to maintain that new weight loss so that we don't regain the weight back. So that's what today's presentation is going to be on, is phase 3. Again, maintenance. We want to keep, preserve, and protect that weight loss that we just achieved over the last 6 weeks. So this is the protocol for the next 3 weeks, and this is the secret recipe for, again, establishing a new weight set point, for locking in this new weight so that we don't gain it back. So first thing is congratulations, right? Are in order. You made it this far. You've done extremely well, and you deserve some kudos for your hard work, your effort, and reaching phase 3. So, and again, we've just come off this really committed diet where you guys have really put in a lot of effort to lose weight, and so we want to make sure we maintain that. But again, congratulations, you've done it. And a great accomplishment shouldn't be the end of the road, just the starting point for the next leap forward. And that's what this maintenance phase is. It's a quote by Harvey McKay. And we're ready to take that next step, right? And so it's really crucial that we implement some guidelines and some protocols to make sure we're successful. Part of the issue I see with clients is they get to this maintenance phase and they don't put as much effort or intensity into the next 3 weeks as they have the last 6 weeks. And we've just come off this really structured diet plan in which we're very limited on the foods we can eat, the calories we consume, all of the factors that go into the weight loss portion of the diet. It's very structured. And so a lot of clients tend to flounder a little bit when we get to this portion of the diet because it is no longer quite as structured. Now, there's certainly some set guidelines and principles that we want to implement during this next 3 weeks, but there's a lot of gray area that starts to creep back in. And so we want to make sure we focus as much in these 3 weeks as we did prior. Now, there's some gray area in this on purpose, and part of that I'll explain a little bit later, in that everybody's different, right? And it's important that we learn how to maintain our new weight moving forward and what's the best for us. And we'll kind of get into that. But I think it's important to recognize that some of the freedoms that come along with phase 3 require that each individual takes responsibility for your own health as we move forward, because everybody's different, and it's going to be crucial that we find what works well for you as an individual and not a set prescription for everybody, because what will work great for one person might be poison for another. And so, and again, we'll get into this a little bit later. But I just want you to recognize that there is going to be a need to be, to take responsibility for yourselves over the next 3 weeks. And again, moving forward in your life beyond this protocol, is that responsibility to take charge of your health, your life, your fork, your feet, and everything else in between. So with that, we'll go ahead and kind of get into phase 3. So your goal during the next 3 weeks is to maintain your new body. You've worked really hard over the past 6 weeks getting to this new weight, this new body composition, and having emptied out those fat stores, and again, kind of lost all that weight. Now, some of you over this diet will lose anywhere from 20 to 45, 50 pounds in the last 6 weeks. And our goal is now to maintain that new weight. So we want to kind of establish our last HCG weight is our new weight that we want to maintain, and we want to maintain that for the next 3 weeks. What your body wants to do, your body's goal over the next few weeks, is going to be just the opposite of your goal. Your body's going to want to regain the weight. And so we have to recognize that you're going to be working against what your body's going to want to do naturally, right? Your body sees it as, we just lost this great fat reserve that we set aside for a rainy day. And now that we're starting to eat again, we want to put those stores back on. So in case we go through another famine like we just did, that we've got, stores of body fat that we can pull from. And what you want to teach your body is, no, we are good right where we're at. We're in homeostasis. We're in balance. We feel good. We love our new body. We love this, being at this weight. We're happy here. And so we want to reestablish a new weight set point. We want to teach our body that we're happy where we're at. And we really got to be vigilant in doing this, because again, our body's going to want to put that weight right back on. And so we have to be pretty vigilant in following the guidelines in phase 3 to make sure that we establish that new weight set point. Because what happens if we don't is our body's going to want to just drift right back where it came from. So the whole goal is to, again, teach our bodies we're happy at this new weight. We don't want to go back up, right? So phase 3 goals, number 1, again, we want to establish a new weight set point. We want to teach our bodies that we're in homeostasis, right? We're in balance, right where we're at. And we want to maintain this new weight for 3 weeks. We want to increase our daily calories up to a sustainable level. So we've been running on, 700, 900 calories. We want to get it to a more sustainable level. Again, starting the transition into that sustainable lifestyle moving forward. We recognize that, 700 calories a day is not a sustainable lifestyle. And so we need to get our calories up to a good balance point and maintain those. So we're going to stair step our calories back up to maintenance level. We're not just going to go from the low calorie phase to all of a sudden we're going to quadruple our calorie intake in one day, because again, that's going to have some consequences with it. So we're going to stair step ourselves back up to a maintenance level. We're going to introduce new foods back into our diet. We've got a new food list that we'll go over today. And it's pretty exciting. There's a lot of new foods. And again, I hope you look at this as, look at all the new options and choices that I can choose from, and not, that one thing I wanted to eat's not on the list, or what's not on the list. Like, don't let that be your focus. Look at it as, look at all the new stuff on the list. And again, after phase 3, you'll be able to introduce other new foods that aren't on this list. But I feel like this phase 3 food list is a pretty good basis for health and longevity throughout the remainder of your life. So if you're going to look at where a safe, what's a safe grocery list, right, for me to choose from and eat from. The phase 3 food list is a good option for not just phase 3, but for the rest of your life. Now, again, I don't think it should only be limited to that once we get beyond phase 3, but that should definitely be your home base, right? So again, we're going to introduce new foods back in your diet. We're going to especially introduce a lot of new proteins and fats. They are going to be your friends. A lot of non-starchy vegetables. That should be a big portion of your diet as well, those non-starchy vegetables. So, and we want to start by introducing new foods slowly. We don't want, even though the new list is here, we don't want to go out and just reintroduce 4 or 5 new foods in a day. And we'll get into why we don't want to do that. So we want to maintain good habits that you've learned during phase 2. We've implemented some good things. We want to make sure we carry over some of those good things moving forward into the future, right? Because really what we're trying to prevent here is going back to where we were prior to phase 2, right? So we want to take some of the good habits that you've gotten into, and we want to incorporate those moving forward in our next phase. Part of that's limiting the sugars and the starches, right? That's a big portion of why we were able to tap into fat stores and burn them, is because we were not consuming sugars and starches that spike insulin and put our bodies into a storage mode. So again, we're going to continue to implement that, not just in phase 3, but for the rest and the remainder of our lives. Portion controls. You've learned some really good habits as far as, you know, what constitutes, 4 ounces of protein, and what's a reasonable, vegetable look on my plate. Like those portion controls are going to be good with monitoring how you eat moving forward, right? If you kind of recognize what a meal looks like during the protocol, you can kind of tell how many calories you're getting in a day. Now, some of you have been very vigilant in tracking, which is great. And I think everybody should do some of that, because I think it educates you on proteins, fats, carbohydrates. It educates you on portion control, calorie intake, macronutrients, those kind of things. But I recognize that for a lot of you, tracking calories just does not work within your lifestyle. It's not something you want to do. It's not something you're going to maintain. It's not something you're going to put in effect for the rest of your life. And so you have to be able to, though, recognize the basics, right, of foods, quantities, portions, and what you're intaking into your body. Okay, so again, we've had clients that have really been vigilant in tracking their foods, that have gone on and had like tremendous success, phase 3, phase 4, because they're being very vigilant on calories in, calories out, what kind of calories they're getting, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and it works really, really good if you're able to do that. And then if you're not, you just need to make sure and recognize where and if you need to make adjustments as you go along. Again, the best diet's going to be the one you're going to maintain. So that's first and foremost with any of you, is do what works for you, but make sure and operate within certain guidelines that are going to help you maintain that weight. So again, if tracking's your thing, that's great. If tracking's not your thing, that's great too. And again, let's work within your frame set of what works for you, right? So, but again, some of these things we learned in the low calorie phase should transfer on to phase 3 and phase 4 of your life, right? Preparation, again, I think as a big part of people who have had success on the diet is the daily prep, recognizing what foods you're going to eat moving forward, recognizing that if you prepare the day before, it makes the day a lot easier stay on track and stay on your goals. Again, you have to recognize that if you do not implement these changes, that it's likely that you are going to go back to where you were prior to the diet. And if you do that, I'll guarantee you right now that your weight will come back. And if you do not sustain these changes, that naturally you're just going to go back to where you were. So again, you've got to be just as vigilant moving forward as you were during the diet. And you have to recognize that most any of us that do this diet have a tendency to be obese, have a tendency to gain weight, have a tendency to have a slower metabolism than other people. And unfortunately, it is the way it is, right? I have friends, and you know, my wife can eat just about anything she wants and maintain her six-pack abs like all the time. And I can eat the same foods, and even though I'm twice her weight, I can put on body fat and she doesn't. And it's just the hand that I was dealt, right? It's my genetics. It's just the way it is, right? And once you tend to have put on body fat stores, your body tends to be a little more efficient at putting them back on, right? And so you just have to recognize that this is the hand that we were dealt, and work towards your strengths there, and not see it as something that stops you from reaching your goals. But it's great to recognize the obstacles that are maybe in your way. And unfortunately, again, life's not fair for everybody. Some people have faster metabolisms than others, but it is the way it is. So, and then continue to monitor your weight, especially during phase 3, is crucial. But I would recommend that this just becomes part of your daily habits for the remainder of your life, right? Is recognizing when you're on your goals and when you're starting to stray. Because if you're not vigilant with your weigh-ins, you can wake up and put on 10 to 12 pounds fairly quickly if you're not kind of watching that. And then again, it's hard to get back down to where you were. So we just, again, incorporate some of these habits that we've put into place in phase 2, limiting the sugars and starches, watching your portions, your preparation, your daily weigh-ins. Those kind of things are great suggestions for moving forward. So a new weight set point. So our bodies kind of work off what's known as weight set points. You tend to stay at a certain weight for a certain amount of time, and then your body weight might creep up to another weight set point, another weight set point. And a lot of you found that as we brought your weight down, once we hit a previous weight set point, your body wanted to stay there for a while. For a big portion of my life, adult life, I weighed around 230 pounds. And so, but once I got really heavy, as I came down, man, my body just wanted to stay at 230. It was really hard to kind of bring it down off of that set point. And that was because that was a place where my body had previously found that homeostasis, right, balance. And so it was a spot where my body felt comfortable. And so it kind of had to work extra hard to get off of that plateau. And a lot of you have found the same thing as we work through your weight loss. So you get to a certain plateau, and typically it's at a former weight set point. So the whole goal behind this is we want to take our new weight and we want to establish that as a new weight set point, a point where we feel like we're in balance. We've got energy coming in, energy's going out at the same rate, and we find ourselves at what's known as homeostasis, right? Energy in energy out, and we're maintaining. And that's the whole point behind maintenance, right? And so again, we're going to take our last HCG weight. So on day 42, or if you extended your diet a few more days until you ran out of cream, whatever your last HCG weigh-in is, that's our new goal to maintain for the next 3 weeks. So if you get down to 200 pounds or 150, that 150 is our goal for the next 3 weeks. And so if we find ourselves within 2 pounds of that 150, we're good, because there's going to be some fluctuation on the scale with water weight, just with food, inflammation a little bit. But if we find ourselves above those 2 pounds, if we wake up and we're 153, then we need to do a correction day, and we'll get into that. So, but we just want to recognize that that's our new goal. And we want to continue to weigh in every morning. We want to stay within 2 pounds of our last HCG weigh-in, okay? Okay, so when we want to calculate like our maintenance calorie goal, right? We're at about anywhere between 500 and 900 calories on the diet, depending on your doctor, depending on which protocol we utilize during the phase 2. And so we're going to want to calculate a new maintenance calorie goal for you to get to, right? And there's a little calculator that we can use, and I'll show you kind of how that works. And that is going to be the goal for your maintenance. And that's typically not just for the maintenance phase, but this is typically about what your body is going to require to maintain its current weight. So just to maintain your bodily functions, your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, your cells to renew, your digestion to happen, your body requires a certain amount of calories every day. And that is typically your maintenance level, right? Like energy in, energy out. How many calories does it take to maintain your current weight, your current lifestyle, based on kind of your current weight? And there's some other factors, how active you are, if you're exercising, those kind of things that we could also look at. But just kind of a guideline on this is this maintenance calculator. And so this is kind of the way this works. So say my ending weight that I want to maintain, my last HCG weight was the 150 pounds, okay? So my new calorie goal to work myself up to is going to be 1,500. So typically if you take your last ending weight and you times it by 10 calories per pound, that's going to be our new target weight. Now that's typically a little lower than most maintenance. Most maintenance you would take and times by 12, and that would be kind of a calculation for maintaining your body weight. But coming off a lower calorie diet, we're going to want to be on the lower end of that a little bit. But you're still going to find that 1,500 calories at 150 pounds is plenty of calories, plenty of food to, again, maintain your new weight and kind of hit that sweet spot. So again, if you're 150, it's 1,500. If you end up at 200 pounds, it's 2,000, and so forth. 170, 1,700, and so forth. So we'll take the 150 as an example. So that is our goal, is to get up to 1,500 calories per day. And then I like to break that down within kind of macronutrients. For those of you who track calories, this is a good recipe for your MyFitnessPal or an app to again monitor that. Now, if this does not work for you, don't do it, because it's not going to work. But for those of you who track macros and calories, this is great. So, and again, I tend to, when we transition, this is kind of my macro breakdown to start with. Now, everybody's different, and we'll kind of make adjustments as we go. But I like to see people at about 40% of their calories in protein, which typically is about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, right? So, proteins, carbs, and fats, there's a certain calorie per gram. Proteins and carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram, and fat has about 9 calories per gram. Okay, these are what are known as macronutrients: proteins, carbs, and fats. And so based on this calculation, we're going to get 40% of our calories from protein, which is 600 calories, 4 grams per calorie, so it's 150 grams of protein that equals 600 calories, right? That equals 40% of our 1,500. Carbohydrates, we're going to keep on the low end of things. 20% of our diet's going to be carbohydrates. Now, these are going to be coming from non-starchy vegetables, salads, non-starchy vegetables. So even though it's only 20%, it's going to be about 300 calories worth of vegetables in a day. And that's going to be a lot of vegetables, right? A lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit to hit that 300 calorie mark. So again, at 4 grams per calorie, that comes out to be 75 grams of carbohydrates in a day, right? And I really like this formula because I'm a big believer in 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And I'm a big fan of keeping total carbohydrate consumption under 100 grams per day, okay? So even if you're at 200 pounds, you're still going to be about that 100 grams per day. So, okay. And then fats are going to make up the other 40% of the diet, which a lot of you are going to struggle with this because we've been running on such a low-fat diet the last 6 weeks, okay? But you have to realize that your body has been running on a high-fat diet for the last 6 weeks. It's just been pulling fat from your body instead of from your plate. So your body has become very efficient at utilizing fat for fuel. It has become very efficient at breaking fat down into ketone bodies, and you've been in a state known as ketosis, ketogenesis, and you've been utilizing fat for fuel over the past 6 weeks. So as we transition into a maintenance lifestyle, we're going to want to incorporate some healthy fats now, instead of from our body, from our plate into our diet. And so this is where this 40% of our total calorie now coming from fat. So that's about 600 calories at 150 pounds, which is, again, per gram, it's more than double what proteins and carbohydrates are. So it's a lot less grams in fats. Takes less to get to that calorie mark, right? So if you're implementing, olive oils, coconut oils, avocado oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, some of the healthier fats, grass-fed butter, ghee, they're going to be very calorically dense. And so it doesn't take a lot to get a lot of calories out of them. So that's the other good thing about the high fats is you don't have to eat a lot to get a lot of the calories that your body needs. So again, this is kind of the breakdown I would utilize for a maintenance calculator, right? We would type in your weight, we'd get a new calorie kind of goal for you that you want to work up towards. Now, like I said, we're not going to do this in one day. We're not going to go from, the 700 calorie to 1,500 calories the next day. We're going to step up to that number and then go from there. But this is a good goal to maintain the new weight. So again, as we meet with each other, each of you should have a phase 3 maintenance meeting with me, in which we will focus more on establishing this new calculation and again, going over a lot of these things that we're going over today in this webinar. Again, watching this before that meeting is pretty crucial because I don't want to have to explain myself 10 times. So it's good that you go through this information, and then we can focus on not so much the generalities in that meeting, but we can get more specific for you as an individual, which is what I really want to do during that phase 3 meeting. And so it's good if you listen to this information prior to that, because then you've got the general basis of what's going to happen, and then we can focus more on you as an individual. So, okay, phase 3. So that is the calculator, and that's kind of how that works. And again, we'll do that on a one-on-one basis and establish those new guidelines for you as we go through. So again, we're going to slowly increase our calorie level to maintenance, right? So we're starting down here at our 700 to 900 calories. And it's crucial, like once you stop the cream, so on day 42, if we stop the cream, so day 46 and 47 are days 1 and 2 of maintenance, we're going to continue on the low calorie, right? Because it takes 2 days for the HCG to kind of work its way out of your body. So we're going to give ourselves 2 days. We're going to stay at the low calorie, and we're going to make sure that hormones had time to work its way out before we start increasing calories. Because HCG is great if we're on a low-calorie diet, but once we increase calories, we want to make sure that hormone is out of our system. Otherwise, it's going to be easier to gain weight, not harder. So again, days 1 and 2, we're going to continue on that low calorie, and then for the next 2 days, like days 3 and 4, we're going to increase those by about 300 calories, okay, for a couple days. And again, you're just going to keep weighing yourself in every morning, make sure we're maintaining that goal weight. You know, if you're down a little bit, it's going to be okay. We just don't want to be increasing weight. So again, if we tend to see the weight going up at all, we might extend that for a few more days before we move up to the next stair step. But again, it's just that principle of like, we're going to stair step this back up to our maintenance. So again, days 5 and 6, we're going to increase 1,300 to 1,500 calories for a couple days, see how we do. And then, you know, beyond days 5 and 6, we're going to continue to increase until we hit our maintenance goal, right? So days 7 and 8, 9 and 10, depending on where your maintenance number is, right? We're going to slowly get back up there. Now, some of you, you know, 1,500 calories, we're going to be there pretty quick. So just within a week. So we're going to work back up. But again, we just want to take some time and make sure we're slowly stair-stepping our way back up to that maintenance goal. Okay. Okay. So phase 3 food list. So again, we're adding in a bunch of new foods. And again, I would suggest this be the basis of your grocery shopping for the remainder of your life. And again, to look at this as not so much in, oh, there's things I wish were on the list that aren't, but look at how many great things are on this list, right? And again, this is all whole foods found in nature, right? It either comes from the earth or has a mama. Those are pretty good guidelines for foods that you want to continue to have in your life, right? Foods that, you know, a couple hundred years ago, you could have found in nature. Like we want to make sure we continue to leave out all the processed, the box, the frozens, the processed foods, right? Now, again, some of the canned and frozen, if it's organic and it's whole foods, that's fine. But what we want to eliminate, again, are those processed man-made foods, right? We want to stick to what can be found in nature, right? So again, fruits, apricots, apples, avocados, blackberries, blueberries, cantaloupe, cherries, grapefruit, guava, honeydew, kiwi fruit, lemons, limes, mangoes, orange, papaya, peaches, pear, pineapple, plums, raspberries, strawberries, tangerine, watermelons. Okay. You can add in a bunch of new nuts and seeds now: almonds, Brazil nuts, cashews, chestnuts, chia seeds, hazelnut, hemp seeds, koala nuts, macadamia nuts, flaxseed, peanuts, pecans, pistachios, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, squash seeds, sunflower seeds, walnuts. So again, a lot of healthy fats and proteins in nuts and seeds. There's some really great foods on here. Chia seeds. Would suggest if there's some food you haven't tried to experiment putting those into your diet as well. Again, the non-starchy vegetables. This is where a huge portion of your diet should be, is right here in the produce section of your local grocery store, right? Alfalfa sprouts, artichoke, arugula, asparagus, avocado, bean sprouts, beets, bell peppers, bok choy, broccoli flower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, celery, chards, chives, collards, cucumbers, dandelion greens, eggplant, endive, escarole, garlic, green beans, kale, amaranth, leeks, lemongrass, mixed greens, mushrooms, mustard green, onion, parsley, peas, peppers, pumpkin, lettuce, sauerkraut, shallots, snow peas, spinach, squash, snap peas, tomatoes, turnip greens, and zucchini. So ton of new vegetables that can be added back into the list. And again, these are all good. They're great delivery systems for healthy fats, like some good healthy dressings, olive oils. It's a great way to get in some healthy fats and vegetables. You know, some grass-fed butter on your broccoli, those kind of things. Again, you're pairing up the vegetables with the healthy fats, and you're getting those benefits, those calories from there as well. Proteins, again, a huge list of proteins now that you can add in: bison, catfish, chicken, clams, cod, Cornish hen, crab, croaker, egg whites, eggs, elk, beef, Eye brown, cottage cheese, low-fat plain Greek yogurt, ham, herring, lamb, lobster, mackerel, mahi-mahi, mussels, octopus, oysters, perch, pollock, pork, rabbit, roast, salmon, sardines, and avocado, anchovies, sirloin steak, spelled it great, sirloin tips, snapper, sole, soy protein powders, protein powder, whey protein would be even preferable over the soybeans, squid, calamari, swordfish, tenderloin, tilapia, tofu, top loin, top round, trout, tuna, turkey, venison. Again, a lot more proteins. And again, proteins and fats are your friends. Make sure and implement those in your diet, right? Additional healthy fats. These are great. Kind of go out of your way to get these. Grass-fed butter. Again, make sure it's grass-fed butter. Traditional butter will have a different fat profile, so stick with the grass-fed. Coconut oil, ghee, MCT, olive oil, and avocado oil. So again, nutrition labels, keep things simple. Nutrition label reading isn't hard. Non-starchy vegetables, seafood, lean meat, protein powder with no added sugar, low fat or fat-free Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, berries, citrus fruits, nuts, or seeds are all good. Sweets and sugars are not. Keep those out. And again, you're talking about labels on foods that you're looking at. And again, our main lists are not going to have food labels on them, right? They're going to be proteins, vegetables, fruits. But if you're getting something in a package, you know, things you want to look for are the more fiber, the better, the more protein, the better, the less sugar, the better, fewer ingredients, better, the more vitamins and minerals per serving, related calories, the better. And if the ingredients include added sweeteners that contain calories, hydrogenated anything, or starch, flour, corn, rice, barley, etc., avoid those, okay? Again, really watch the sugar content, total carbohydrate content. So those are some good basic guidelines. Sweeteners to avoid, there's a whole list here of just ways they hide sugar in all of our foods. Agave, barley, malt, beet sugar, brown sugar, buttered syrup, cane crystal, caramel, carob syrup, castor syrup, confectioner syrup, corn sweetener, corn syrup solids, crystalline fructose, date sugar, demerara sugar, dextrin, dextrose, distillate malt, dietase, ethyl maltol, evaporated cane juice, galactose, glucose solids, glucose syrups, golden sugar, golden syrup, granulated sugar, grape sugar, high fructose corn syrup, honey, lactose, malt syrup, maltodextrin, maltose, maple syrup, panocha, raw sugar, refiner syrup, rice syrup, sorbitol, sorghum gum, sucrose, sugar syrup, treacle, and turbinado sugar. So this is just a list of some, not all of the hidden sugars that you really need to avoid. So just watch for those. Introduce new foods slowly. Even though we have this great new food list that you want to choose from, you want to make sure you reintroduce these foods slowly, because some of you are going to find you have a sensitivity to certain foods. Some foods are going to cause inflammation, and some foods are not going to be good foods for you. The last 6 weeks have been a great elimination diet. We've eliminated 95% of anything that would have caused anyone any digestive problems, right? We've taken out. Over the past 6 weeks, we've pretty much eaten gluten-free, lactose-free, wheat-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, egg-free for the most part, shellfish-free, and nut-free. So we've eliminated all of these from our dietary equation over the last 6 weeks. So as we add these foods back in, right, as we add in some dairy, as we add in some eggs, as we add in some fish, as we add in nuts and seeds, as we add in different meats, different vegetables, it's important that you add them in slowly so that you can identify when something causes you a problem. And what you're looking for is you're looking for foods that cause inflammation. And you're going to notice those by your scale, right? So if you eat pork, if you cook some pork chops or something and reintroduce those back into your diet, and the next day when you wake up, your weight's up like 3 to 4 pounds over the previous day, it's a good symbol that your body is had an inflammatory response to something new, right? And so it's probably a good indicator that pork is not a friendly food towards you, for you. And so it is important, again, to reintroduce these foods slowly so that you recognize when you eat something that causes your body to respond. And so just continue to watch the scale every morning, reintroduce the food slowly. And if you want to try them again in a few weeks, you know, like you had the pork and it didn't go well for you, so maybe in a couple more weeks you reintroduce it again and see if the same thing happens. If it does, then you definitely know that this is not a good food for you. And so what you want to make sure and do is just be vigilant on, again, reintroduce the food slowly, watch the scale, watch for how you feel as well, not just the scale. If you get some brain fog, if you feel lethargic, you feel like you really lack energy or sick to your stomach, you know, those are other good indicators that something might not be a good food for you. And so again, you've come off this wonderful elimination diet over the past 6 weeks, and you've been really good about, you know, what foods you've been consuming. And so it's just important to make sure now that you're sensitive that you kind of, you know, watch for those things that could indicate a poor food choice for you as an individual. And again, this is what this all comes down to, right? Is this concept known as bioindividuality, right? We're all different, right? We're as different on the inside as we are on the outside. All of us have different genetic makeup. All of us have different environmental exposures. We've all, some of us were born via C-section. Some were born naturally. Some of us lived in different countries. Some of us were exposed to toxins. Some of us were exposed to travel and different things that affect biology and affect who we are as people. And our gut microbiomes are all different. Again, we come from different nationalities, different genetic makeups. And so with all of that, we're very unique snowflakes, right? Like we're all different. And so you have to find what works for you as an individual, right? And again, with a lot of the diets that are taught today, people put themselves in camps. And sometimes it's because those camps work well for a certain individual, right? Like a lot of you know, Annalie and I, we're big keto people, right? So we like the ketogenesis, the keto diet is kind of where we've found success for us, right? So, but even within that, we stray, we eat what works well for us, but we can identify somewhat with some of the principles that are taught in the ketogenic diet. We also incorporate some paleo, right? Or some people find themselves doing well with a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet. My sister's very plant-based, and she struggled with weight her whole life, but plant-based has been something that really helped her improve her health. And so she kind of finds herself in that camp, right? But again, to think that the one camp works well for everybody is not fact, right? I might think that ketogenesis and the keto diet is the bomb, but I recognize that some people, keto is not a good approach for health. Some people would do very, very poorly at a ketogenic diet. Now, there's some principles, I think, that are fundamental along weight loss that we've incorporated in our protocol that work for everybody, right? But again, if you're trying to find a diet or what provides optimal health for you as an individual, you need to seek out those things that work well for you. And that's where you need to focus your attention, and that's where you need to put your habits around, is those activities, those lifestyle things that are, again, sustainable for you, that you enjoy, and the foods that work well for you, foods that don't cause inflammation, foods that don't cause you to not feel good, right? But for everybody, it's different. It's as different. Again, we're as different on the inside as we are on the outside. So it's just important to recognize what works well. And again, it comes down to you becoming your personal physician, right? You know what works well for you. You know how you feel, right? When you eat something that makes you feel good. You know how your body weight goes up or down, or your inflammation, or your digestion, or man, you ate something and you spent the rest of the day in the bathroom. Probably not good food for you, right? But you need to become your best physician. You are the expert on you. And so you need to just recognize that you know what works well for you better than any doctor, better than any health coach, better than any holistic practitioner that you can imagine, right? Because you are unique and you know what works well for you, right? And so you need to always be asking yourself, how does this food or activity affect my health, you know? And the best things that I like to look at when evaluating these things are, how do I look, how do I feel, and how do I perform? How does this activity or food make me look? Do I get bloated and gassy? You know, how does it make me feel? Am I lethargic and I got brain fog, or am I on fire? And how am I performing, right? Again, is this diet and lifestyle working for me, or is it not? And if it's not, I need to make changes, right? I need to prescribe something different for my life. Otherwise, you're going to get to the point where, you know, you're going to have chronic inflammation, chronic disease sets in, those kind of things. So again, I would just encourage you to be your own best physician, right? You are in control of your health. You're in control of the food you eat, the things you do, the stress levels that you have, the sleep that you're getting, the vitamins and minerals that you're taking, the supplementation, those kind of things. It's all up to you on what works well and what doesn't. But again, I hope you utilize this great elimination diet that we've been on and start from there as a baseline of health, right? And start adding in more of what brings joy, happiness, and good things in your life, and to continue to eliminate those things that don't help you perform at your optimal standpoint, right? Okay, so we're almost to the end here. So correction day, what do I do if I find myself more than 2 pounds above my maintenance weight, right? So you wake up, you're 3 pounds up, and we're heading in the wrong direction, right? What do we do? What's the tool in our toolbox? And so the thing we want to do during maintenance is, again, we want to be weighing ourselves every day. And when we find ourselves 3 pounds or heavier, we want to do a correction day. And that's known as a stake day, okay? So the stake day is kind of a tool to help bring our weight back down to that maintenance goal, right? And so what is a stake day? So a stake day is you basically, you wake up, you find yourself 3 pounds or more above your goal weight. So during the day, you're going to do just a liquid fast. You are going to, have the approved liquids, water, teas, coffee, mineral water, things, and again, only sweetened with stevia, natural sweeteners, no sugar, nothing like that. Just, again, a liquid fast. You're going to hydrate really well. And then at night, for supper, you're going to eat a big steak, a big fatty steak, like a ribeye, a New York steak, a really nice steak, and an apple or a really big steak and a tomato. And that's it. That's all you get to eat for that day. And again, you're just kind of doing the fasting throughout the day. At the end of the day, you're getting a nice bolus of fat and protein from a steak. Or, if some of you don't want to do meat, you can ask me. We can do a different kind of correction day. But the steak day works the best. Again, you're just kind of doing a liquid fast all day, and then at night, have a big fatty steak and an apple, big fatty steak and a tomato. And then when you wake up the next day, your weight should be back down to the goal weight. And that's the tool we use during phase 3. So again, you're just going to go through, you find yourself up, you're going to correct it, you're going to go through, you find yourself up, you're going to bring it back down, right? And again, we want to maintain that new weight for 3 weeks. Teaches our body, this is our new happy place, this is homeostasis, this is where I'm happy, this is my new weight set point. We're not going to go back up to where we were. And if we want to continue to lose weight, we can always do another round and drive that weight down to another set point. And again, stair step our way down to our goal weight, right? And I recognize that a lot of us aren't going to get to our goal with 1 round of the diet protocol. We need to do 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And so, but we just want to take and stair step our way down, weight set point to weight set point to weight set point, until you get to where your goal is. And so, again, we just want to take these 3 weeks, maintain. If you want to transition back into the diet, we would do it at the end of the 3 weeks, get back on protocol, drive it down for another 6 weeks, and then maintain again after that. Or if you're ready to transition to phase 4, we would just implement a phase 4 plan for you. Again, moving forward, again, based on a lot of the principles that we've covered here today in phase 3, just transitions over to phase 4. One thing I would encourage all of you to continue to do, even after the protocol, is the intermittent fasting. That kind of goes with the low calorie part of the diet, where you just wake up, have water, coffee or tea, the ketones in the morning, and don't eat your first meal until lunch and then dinner. It just really gives yourself a great chance to maintain your new weight set point, to maintain that weight loss, and to set yourself up for success for long term. So again, we can talk on an individual basis for that, but that would be a definite recommendation of mine for moving forward. So again, I hope you got something out of this phase 3 maintenance webinar. I hope that if you have any questions, reach out to me, ask me. And again, I hope you put as much diligence and effort into phase 3 as you did in phase 2. And if you do, I guarantee you, you'll maintain your new weight, and it'll be a blessing for you in your life moving forward. So love you guys. I hope everything's going well for you. If there's something I can do to help or serve you, let me know. Would love to help you. Talk to you later, guys.